Okay, this is our post Ironman World Championships race wrap-up video, going through how the race went, how I'm feeling now, and also some of Reece's thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, I'm just here because every time I'm in a vlog, we get more views, so I'm just sat here.
Apparently.
Yeah.
This magic moment. Yeah, that's just kind of a segue, okay?
Oh, that was good. Take care, get ready. I'm gonna smash it.
I'll miss the Ohana, my second family. I love you all. Have a great day out there. I'll see you Thursday and Friday. Thank you.
You did all the work, you're here, you're fit, and now it's time to race.
So, first of all, how did it feel being back on the island? What sort of energy did you have, and how did it compare to previous years?
So I think the really nice thing this year was we decided to stay up here in Waikoloa Village before the race, so I felt a lot more chilled and relaxed, far less busy up here, allowed me to just get on with my pre-race prep and kind of have less stress, less aggravation, just get everything done, be in my own mind. So I felt really relaxed in that sense. And then a few days before the race, when we had the pre-race press conference and the briefing, we moved down to Alihi Drive, which was nice because we were nearer to where the race was happening rather than being like a 45-minute drive away. That final prep down there went really well. We were so lucky to go and swim at Midge and Tim's endless pool, which was in this most stunning location. So my final swim before the race was actually up there, which was nice just to, I guess, have no eyes on me and just be able to do that final bit of preparation, start getting my head in the game, ready for race day.
I get my strength from the struggle. 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 Keep the faith, trying to keep the pace. I'm running late, but I'm not worried. Even on my lazy days, can't hesitate to flex my muscle. Can't keep me caged with the world ablaze. See the fires rage, but I'm not burning. Won't see me break.
Obviously then go and rack my bike, which is always the last thing you need to do before the race. Go and rack your bike and your transition bags.
I get my strength from the struggle. I get my strength from the struggle. I get my strength from the struggle. I get my strength from the struggle.
Trying to relax before the race, which is never easy. I think I'd done a post 2 nights before the race and said 2 more sleeps before the race, and someone's comment, which was so true, was like, don't you mean 1 more sleep, because you never sleep the night before the race, which is quite true. But I felt quite nervous, but at the same time I felt really grateful to be back here, grateful for the team of people that had got me back here. And I think there was a point in the night where I just suddenly felt really relaxed and calm. I was like, you know what, I've done everything I can possibly do, and at the end of the day, all I've got to do tomorrow is swim, bike and run to the best of my ability. All I can do is what I can do. I can't control what anyone else does, and I think that kind of mantra stayed with me for the whole race.
One thing for battle braids, Reece always nags me for this. Sun cream, you're parting if you don't always wear battle braids, because in this sun, you burn the middle of your head, and you don't want to do that. So we're putting Factor 50 on my scalp. I might put more on in T2 if I have time, but we don't want to burn our heads. Morning! Ready? done. I'm just going to hang over
Believe in
there.
yourself, yeah?
Yeah, and you lot all look after yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You can't help me in any way, so look after yourselves.
Yes, we will. Don't worry about
No
us.
shots worth getting at a risk.
Don't worry.
No fighting. Right. Good luck. Thank you.
2 years, the land has been asleep. For 2 years, the ocean has rested. But today, on Thursday, October 6th, the year 2022, we wake up with a roar. Let me hear your roar, Kona.
When the cannon fired, what was your thoughts swimming? Did you know quite soon that you'd had a big gap? You pulled a big gap within 300 metres, and then it kind of stayed pretty much the same throughout the whole swim with the Lauren Brandon group 50 odd metres behind you. Was you aware of that? Did you have any idea that you were swimming off the front but they were still quite close?
So I guess going back a little bit before the cannon actually fired, like there was a really good kind of feeling between all of the women in the water, and I did actually say at one point, like, this is our day. For us, this is our opportunity to show what women's sport is all about, and the fact that we've been given our own day because we really deserve it. We do have amazing, exciting races, and we have incredible athletes and stories to tell. So there was a really good camaraderie there before that gun went off, and at that point I actually felt, again, quite relaxed. I was like, I know what I need to do. I just need to do my own thing and just see what happens. So as soon as the cannon fired, I did my usual thing. It was just head down and go. Like, I wanted to get as much of a gap as possible. I had no idea what was going on behind me. I had no idea that I think I'd pulled a gap quite early on, but then that gap between the kind of Lauren Brandon group kind of stayed pretty much where it was throughout the swim, which obviously Lauren's an amazing swimmer. I've swam with her before in Kona, so I actually had thought that she was potentially going to be swimming with me. So when I'd got a gap on that group, I was like, well, you know what, they all are really good swimmers. They're with Lauren, who I know is a great swimmer, but I've managed to get a gap on them, so I must be having a good swim. But I never really looked back. Like, even when we made the turn at the turn boat, I had like a little look and I was like, I think that's Lauren. It looks like Lauren's stroke back there. So I was like, must be swimming well. There's no one on my feet. Let's just continue with that rhythm, keep going. It was pretty choppy in there as well. Like, you could really feel that swell on the morning. So, and I think the times reflected that. Like, they weren't the super fast swim times that we sometimes have. It wasn't close to the time that I have swum before in that course, and that was definitely due to the swell that we had. But then hitting transition one, I was like, right, I've got the gap. Let's just do my thing and get out onto the bike.
When you was out on the bike course, there was obviously loads of penalties given out. Was you aware that those penalties were given? Did you have any information that the people who had the penalties had served the penalties when they did? And if you did know that, how did that affect your race?
Yeah, so I guess what's quite cool in Kona, which doesn't happen in really any other races, is there is actually an official that comes along with a whiteboard and gives us the split times of like the groups behind. So obviously me and Fenella had managed to get away from everyone else, so we had established a good lead out in front. We kept getting the information to Daniela's group and then the group behind. Can't remember at what point into the course, I think it was possibly when we were doing the Harvey climb, that on the board it said that Laura Phillip and Sarah Crowley had got a penalty. It didn't say the length of the time of the penalty, and it just told us that I think they were like 6 minutes behind. So I was like, are they 6 minutes behind because they've served the penalty, or are they 6 minutes behind and haven't yet served the penalty? And I don't think they had served the penalty at that point. I think they were going to serve it at the top of Harvey. But ultimately that didn't really change anything in my game plan or the dynamic of my race. It was just, okay, they're giving out penalties today, like it's nothing new. I guess for me personally, when I was riding with Fenella. We had a couple of lead changes between both of us, but my main thing was I'm just keeping 20 metres. Like I know it's a 12-metre draft rule, but I'm not even going to get in close into that. Like that was my thought process the whole ride. I'm not going to risk getting a penalty at this race. I want to be up there in contention at the end, so I'm just going to ride my own race, stick to my own race plan, and definitely stay away from those penalties.
So when you came off the bike, obviously Daniela had caught you probably with 10 miles to go, something like that. Was you surprised that when she caught you, you both pulled away from Fenella when you did? Was the pace really high? And what was your thoughts and feelings when that pass and that move was made?
Yeah, so I guess I've raced Kona 4 times now. In 2 of those races, Daniela has caught me on the bike. This was the latest that Daniela had ever caught me on the bike. We obviously were getting the time information that the gap was coming down, but I was like, you know what? That's Daniela's game plan. I'm doing mine. When she does catch me, at whatever point that is, my goal is going to be to go with her, because I always want to go with the lead of the race to be in contention with trying to win the race. When Daniela came past, that was all I thought was, okay, we are very near to the end now. I'm just going to ride with Daniela, obviously at that legal distance. And yeah, we managed to get a gap on Fenella at that point. I think I'd been starting to feel quite strong at that point, like I was really just getting into my rhythm, energy levels were really good. And I thought, yeah, you know what, I can go with Daniela. This pace isn't actually too hot. I thought she was going to do like a really aggressive pass, which obviously that is tactically what you should do. So I kind of let her do that, and then was like, okay, right, just go with Daniela. That's the front of the race, and yeah, that felt quite comfortable to do that.
At what point during the race did you think, okay, I've exceeded my expectations going into this now? With your injury, it was a big unknown how you would fare in this distance. You haven't raced a long distance in 3 years now. Was there a point where you were like, okay, I'm in the fight for definitely a podium and potentially the win, or did you not allow that thought to go into your mind during the race?
I don't think I was ever really thinking about a position at all during the race. I was just like, we've got a game plan and I'm just going to stick to that. And I came off the bike in a really good position. Like I was really happy where that was. I hadn't paid a massive attention to the gaps behind, but I knew I just had to try and run my own race. And we'd had limited amounts of long run volume leading into this race, obviously with the injury. So there was a bit of an unknown there, but I was still confident in my fitness that I could deliver a good result. And I felt like I'd paced it well enough to do a decent run at the end. So when I started that run, Daniela was just in front, and I felt really fluid at the start of that run, and I passed Daniela and I was like, I actually don't feel like I'm pushing too hard here to pass Daniela. If I want to win this race, we need to be running faster than the pace that she was running at that point. There were strong runners behind, so I was like, right, I've just got to go with this, see how I feel. I felt really good along the Alihi Drive section. It was particularly hot down there, like it did feel quite hot, but I knew I could manage that with the aid stations. It didn't feel like a huge issue. And then when I made the turn at the far end of Alihi Drive, I could obviously see the women then coming up. And I definitely, when I saw Chelsea, I was like, okay, she's definitely the person you need to worry about now. She looks like she's running really, really well. She's kind of flown under the radar this year, but you see the results she had at like Ironman Hamburg. I think if Laura Philipp hadn't have been there, we all would have been talking about Chelsea and her debut Ironmans. I knew she had the potential to have a good run, and I just needed to keep doing my thing and not worry about that too much, but I had anticipated that she was going to be closing that gap for sure.
You're leading the Ironman World Championships. You're in front of 5-time winner Daniela Reece. You're in front of Annie Haug, who beat you in 2019. You must be thinking, I'm now beating my 2 nemesis and I'm going to win this World Championships. And then on comes Chelsea. How does that feel for you? And was you at any point like, just give me a break? Like, what do I have to do to win this race?
Yeah, I think, you know what? This is the 4th time I've done this, and it's the 4th time I've been overtaken at a point in the race and lost the lead. I've always been leading at some point. So It's nothing new, I've dealt with it before, and Chelsea came past pretty well on Polani as we were right at the top of Polani during the climb, and I guess at that point I was like, I'm having a good race. Annie Haug is still behind me. I've overtaken Daniela. I need to keep running well, otherwise Annie's going to get me as well, and I don't want to slip back further. I would like to be right at the front of this race. And I guess in the back of my mind I was like, Chelsea's running phenomenally well, but this is Kona, anything can happen, she could blow up. So I was like, you absolutely cannot give up because the win might still be possible. Chelsea was obviously making up time and she just looked really, really fluid when she came past. I just was like, use the aid stations, keep cool, keep doing your nutrition strategy. And on the whole, I was actually feeling really good, but there's a really long way to go, and there's the question mark around how much training I've done, my preparation with the injury, all of those things are there, but I was like, you know what? In this very moment, I feel really good, so let's not worry about how much is left and just focus on the fact that the energy feels good. You just keep that positive mindset. Going into the energy lab, I actually had a little bit of a lift in energy, particularly on the way in. I felt really good. We made the turn in the energy lab and I was like, you know what, again, Chelsea's running really well, the gap's a bit bigger now, but anything can happen, she can still blow up, so just keep running, keep doing your thing. Made the turn, saw Annie coming the other way, and I was like, I feel like I can hold her off. The gap's not huge, but I still feel good. You never know how the other athlete is feeling. The climb out of the energy lab was quite tough. That was probably the hottest part on the run, going out of there. And then getting told by people on the side that Annie's gaining, the gap's coming down, and I was like, I don't even care. I feel good. You know what? I'm just going to keep running. She's not passed me yet. I'm still in second place at the World Championship. And then we get back up onto the Queen K, and Dan Lorang is there, who obviously coaches both myself and Annie, which puts him in a great position and probably a difficult position because two of his athletes are battling in second and third. But we'd already spoke before the race and he'd said, you and Annie will get exactly the same information. It will be completely impartial. All you'll be getting told is the splits, nothing else. And obviously, so yeah, I knew the split in front, I knew the split behind. I knew at that point, I think Annie was only like 40 seconds behind maybe at that point. So again, I was like, but you know what, I feel good, just keep going, keep seeing what you can do. And the energy level kept staying really, really good. So I was quite confident that I could do it, but I knew the gap was coming down and it was small, and I know Annie has passed me before in the energy lab, so I was like, well, I've got a bit further than the energy lab this time. But yeah, it was a really good point, I think, there where I was like, we're back on the Queen K and I believe in myself.
Once you'd realised that actually Annie wasn't gaining on you, you had about 2 miles to go, did you allow yourself to appreciate the journey that you've been on this year? Did you, at any point, did you think, I wasn't even meant to be racing this year, and here I am, equaling my best ever performance at the World Championships? And then on top of that, after the race, was there a point where you thought, how well could I have done had I not had the interruptions that I've had this year? Bit of a loaded question, but...
So with, I think, probably 5K, 3 miles to go on the run, Beth McKenzie was there telling me that the gap wasn't coming down anymore to Annie, like it was staying constant. Reece was on the course as well, telling me that the gap wasn't coming down, it was staying where it was. And I was like, you know what, 5K is just a park run, like maybe I should pick it up a bit now and just make sure that Annie can't close that gap. And I was like, you know what, the energy is there, I can do this. But in that same moment, I was like, at the start of the year, I couldn't even run a 5K. Like I had this injury and I couldn't even run for a minute. I wasn't allowed to. So it kind of felt like, is this really real, I guess? Like it was a dream to have got on the start line, and then to be holding off the likes of a runner like Annie Haug was just like, how is this even happening? But I think it's definitely a testament to the team of people that believed in me to get back here, but also in myself really, really wanting to be back here. Coming down Polani, I still was like, you need to keep pushing because Annie's there, but I think as soon as I got back onto it, Alihi Drive, running down that finish chute, it was amazing that I was able to come back from this injury, get another second place finish, but this one definitely feels arguably the most special because of the journey that we've all been on to get me back here. It's been a complete team effort. Yeah, to your point of, do I feel like I could have done better if I'd had a longer build-up? Well, absolutely I do. And the belief in myself that I can win this race one day is 100% there. Like, I do believe it with the perfect preparation and a good build-up and enough run mileage and everything else that goes into preparing for this race. I do believe I can do it. And that's not to take anything away from Chelsea whatsoever, because she was just phenomenal on the day, and that run was one of the best runs we've ever seen in Kona. Her story as well, to come back from having her daughter Sky to go on and win, I think is almost the perfect story for the female-only race day, to have a mum come back and win. So yeah, really happy for Chelsea, but obviously incredibly proud of myself to get back onto that podium again after the year that we've all had.
Second place in the Ironman World Championship. Charles-Barclay.
To actually come in second, I can't actually believe it. Like, it's just you gotta work hard, never give up, and when things aren't quite going to plan, just have some patience, believe in yourself, and you can get back. I've got some blisters, I think.
Well,
All right, we'll
Not
sort it.
surprised. So I was fighting for Bob.
that's not a bad thing, right?
I was like, I want to go 4 seasons again.
Exactly.
I think it means a lot more than any of the other second places I've had. It definitely feels like a win. And yeah, the day itself is probably actually the strongest I've felt over this distance in terms of a consistent energy throughout the whole day. And yeah, just super happy with the result. Oh, Carl? Yeah? I'm getting in. Oh, she's ready.
Da, 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 da. Oh my days. Oh! I really should have done a wee before I got in it. Used to it with my brass monkey ice
We're going to recreate the Las Colinas burger from Dallas.
Oh yes, baby.
So in Dallas, there was this unbelievable burger called the Las Colinas burger, and tomorrow,
Michael Collins,
the domestic chef god, is going to recreate it for us. But I've got to look up what it actually is. Yeah, it's like a double something, but it's brioche bun. One of the decisions that we made this year was to try and be a little bit of an open book with your injury, partly because you wanted to take a little bit of the pressure off yourself in being open and sharing, but also because you wanted to document this journey and inspire others who were going through the same process as you. What message would you give to those people, and especially those who have messaged you all throughout this process, who have had something similar going on? What piece of encouragement or advice would you give to those people who have followed your journey all throughout?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I wanted to document this journey to show where I was at, take the pressure off and be like, this is what's happening, this is the injury, this is the situation. But at the same time, now, sat here, having done what I've done, I wanted to show that actually this is the work that went into it. It was a lot of work, it was really tough, and sometimes from the outside looking in, when you don't know an athlete's journey, it looks like it was probably super easy to get where they were, but I wanted to show that a lot of hard work went into it, and also then to the people that were reaching out to me saying that I've helped them with their injury, whether it be the same or similar, was really, really amazing to hear. And I think the main message I would have if you have an injury right now, or you're trying to recover from an injury or a setback, is just that patience is the key with it. Like, we was patient with this injury. We took our time to find out why it happened, find out the best way to overcome it, and then you will come back stronger. And it is incredibly tough having a setback. Like, at the time, it was so tough. Like, watching the races happen and me not being there was one of the hardest parts of the injury. But now, sat here, I am a stronger person. Like, I think maybe before, in a race, if I'd had Annie Howe 30 seconds behind me with 8 miles to go, I'd be like, well, that's done, it's over, she's gonna catch me. Whereas now I was like, you know what? I have been through so much, I'm stronger than I was, I can do this, I'm gonna keep fighting, because I fought for this and an entire team of people have fought to get me back here. So just don't ever give up. Like, it's never over. This injury that I had could have been career ending, but I'm sat here with another silver medal at a World Championship. So be patient, never give up, take your time, listen to your body, and you will definitely come back stronger.
Final question, what are we going to do from here? What's the plan? Where are we going next?
Well, we got to watch the men's race, which was so cool to have my race done and then really enjoy watching the men. They put on a phenomenal show today. I think they saw the women, they knew they needed to put on an exciting race, and they definitely did. Really, really happy for Gustav Iden. I really wanted him to have a great race, and I think it's amazing that he got the win. Sam Laidlow put on a phenomenal performance. 23 years old in his debut to come second. Really, really inspiring. Christian for keeping that fight and staying in there and getting that third place. And then to have the entire top 10 under 8 hours just shows the progression that this sport has gone on in the last 3 years. It's just insanity. But yeah, to my next point, we get to go to the Four Seasons Hotel tomorrow and go on breakfast with Bob, which I've been really lucky to do the last 3 years that I've raced here as a pro. So there's always a little bit of extra motivation at the end of that run to stay in the top 3 so that you get to go and do that.
It's Lucy in the sky with diamonds. See Charles-Barclay.
That's so ordinary.
Look at that. That is so good.
Wait, I got something else.
That is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the coolest medal you've ever seen?
So yeah, so everybody comes to the party, gets a medal and a hat. And see, next year, if this race is on Thursday again for the women, Lucy will be putting medals on you at the party.
Yes. You had it here first.
And the hats.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
Of course.
No matter what, it's such a big build-up for that race. So when it's done, it's like a big relief. And even though I've got another big race left, it feels like nothing compared to that. So, and chill. Sunglasses more
Everything's alright with a violet sky on my skin. Ooh, baby, I feel high with a violet sky on my skin. Let me breathe deep, let me get away. There's no place else I'd rather be. Ooh, everything's alright with a violet sky. A violet sky must be God made the way. Ooh, God made the way. Ooh, but God made the way. Baby, 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 God made the way.
She wins second at a time of 8:41.37. Representing Great Britain, Lucy Charles-Barclay.
Everything's alright with a violet
what genre would you like? Okay, if you're looking at me, I'm like a
Wait, you sing
I'm like a.
What is Dave Scott's genre though? That's the question.
I am not good, Holly, but I'm
gonna
gonna
sing?
I'm gonna this magic moment. Yeah, that's just kind of a segue, okay?
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, thanks.
Dave Scott singing, at least he comes second.
Yeah. No, I would kind of push you aside. I mean, can she get silver? You did HQ Fair a couple years ago. Yeah? Or no? You did HQ Fair? Yeah.
A bit too fast.
What are you doing?
Flicking the hair around.
Lionel, eat your heart out. At the awards. Getting an ice bath.
Who's going? Colin's going. Colin's going. Colin's going. Okay.
Hello.
That was Colin, my mechanic.
It's freezing my hands off. I did it again.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Don't kill yourself.
That's the best thing that's ever happened.
Come on.
And then from here, we are going to fly straight to Utah for the 70.3 World Championships, which I'm really excited about. I think it's going to feel super short compared to this, and I have got a title to try and defend. So yeah, it's going to be a really good trip, I think.
Okay, so I haven't just been on the island carrying Lucy's luggage. I've been doing some fun, interesting time trial kind of stuff in the background as well. So we have a really cool little video coming out probably in the next week or two, depending on how much editing Holly's got. She's been kept very busy. So yeah, make sure to stay tuned with that.
A huge thank you to all of you for your support on this journey. It really does mean the world to us.
So, signing off the Kona vlog, it's me, your double 70.3 world champion, and now also full distance Ironman World Champion, Gustav Eden. Thank you for watching. Give a thumbs up, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below why you think Lucy is the greatest triathlete on earth, or why you think me, Gustav Eden, is the greatest triathlete on earth. Subscribe.
Thank
Peace.
you. Thank you. Pro tip.